Hi there, I'm Mark Hespen. I'm joined here with Senator Sally Turner and Senator Don DeWitte. Senators, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Our pleasure.
We're doing budget reaction. Now, I have the speech here in my hand. It's been a little over 24 hours. We got to digest this. I want to start talking about the budget, but I don't know if I can because if on page 3, if you remember, Governor Pritzker did say if you want to talk about the fiscal year 2027 budget, you must first demand the return of the money and resources this president has taken from the people of Illinois. So do we do official demanding before we start talking about the budget, or do you think we could start talking about it?
Well, you've done better than I did because I couldn't find any reference to a budget in that speech yesterday. So
we can start with that, Senator DeWitte, like initial thoughts.
it's a good place to start because I'm not sure the administration even has a handle on what, if any, amount of money is actually going to be withheld from the state of Illinois. Mm-hmm. We asked those questions at appropriations last spring. I didn't hear him say anything about specific numbers yesterday during his speech. They don't really know. And I would only add to that the federal courts, in my view, if you believe in the 3-segment system of government, the courts have been pretty aggressive with overriding any of the special requests that the administration and Republicans in Washington have requested be held. So they don't even know what's being held yet, but they're taking the worst case scenario. The sky is falling. It gins up their base for the election coming up, and it's totally unrealistic and absolute fluff.
And a subterfuge to see maybe, are you going to raise my taxes? You know,
which he's doing anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I think the number he had floated out at some point was something like $8 billion or whatever it might be. I know that as you mentioned, there's obviously court challengings to a lot of that. There's some of that money I know was as CBS had reported was money going to hospitals for surgery, certain types of surgeries that they're trying to ban anyways. It's messy, and one of the things that I felt, and maybe you guys could speak on this too, is the lack of numbers in the speech was a good strategy by the governor, because once you start talking about numbs, you're in real trouble.
You're
right?
pinned down, exactly right.
That's a good point, because, well, first of all, there was one of the shortest ones we've had.
Correct.
Which is, yay us. It was one of the shortest ones we have, but the substance of it was very minimal.
Right.
Is exactly what you were saying.
Yeah. Now, in your initial reaction as well, I know you were joking about wanting to play, love songs to start the podcast here. Love was a big end point for the governor. Did any of that land for you?
Not really. I mean, of course, that's the tenet that we all carry as Christians: love one another as I've loved you. That's the way it should be. But I don't know that was fitting for a budget speech, if you will.
Yeah.
How about you?
Again, I think it was probably just a little more deflection in an attempt to, put attention on, all of the problems associated with the immigration work that's being done across the nation. I would never bless how they're going about doing it, but I will say, and I have said on the record, this would be a totally different situation if the governor had simply agreed to cooperate with ICE to pinpoint the people they want to go after, the criminal element of the undocumented population. They could be controlling this entire situation through our local law enforcement rather than creating the chaos and confusion that's coming out of ICE agents basically doing dragnets through neighborhoods trying to find people they want to connect with and arrest. So. This could be very different. He could make that decision tomorrow, but he refuses not to.
Yeah, we don't have all the specifics of what they're going to be doing. That's going to be one of those things that shows up on your guys' desk at 2 a.m. on a random night, right? Being in the minority and being kind of at the whim and beck and call of whatever the supermajority wants to do with the state. Is there something that you gleaned from the speech yesterday, from the address? You're like, you know what, we can work with this.
Oh, there's several things we could work with. For me, the Surplus to Success is a program that got some additional funding in it. And the district that I live in, I have one spot, which is Lincoln Developmental Center. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a huge, huge area. The DJJ has a little portion of it that they've started using, but the rest of it has been it's a terrible spot with buildings falling apart that the state has owned, and this has been going on for 40 years, that it's just been sitting there. So the city of Lincoln is working with the state government in order to build something new there, something that either is going to boost our revenue or else can help our veterans. We do small homes for veterans that are on the verge of being homeless. Those types of things. That is something I'm very happy to see. One of the things.
Yeah, one of the things. What about you, Senator DeWitte?
I think the thing that stuck out for me the most was the pension discussion that was had. It's nice to see Democrats finally recognizing what that $140 or $145 billion debt on the residents of the state of Illinois, they finally want to address it.
Yeah.
There have been municipalities, the IML they've all been discussing an extension of that proverbial Edgar Road or Edgar, what do they call it, the Edgar Road or Edgar map to 2045 to extend pension payments out to eventually get to zero. He wants to extend it to 2048 with the goal being 100% paid by that amount of time. That saves municipalities money because it lowers their pension debt for their publicly funded pensions for their employees. I can definitely get behind that and finally recognize that that is the proverbial financial albatross that is hung around the necks of every tax-paying citizen of the state of Illinois.
It's well said. It's one of the things that Senator Rose said to me yesterday. It was like, how can you talk about a balanced budget when there's this ginormous, I think he used the word 800-pound gorilla in the room when you talk about pensions. I thought one of the things that stood out to me, and I wanted your reaction on this too, is this kind of like putting lipstick on a pig. I think there's, at one point in time, he quoted the CNBC article that we're now up to 13th as the best state in the country, which is something you'd feel like to brag about when we have, the 6th most population, yet we're the 13th best state. And if you look at in that CNBC article, they still rank Illinois as 38th in business friendly out of 50 states, 23rd in quality of life, which is extremely damning, and then 44th in the economy. And you're like, oh, well, the ranking, how do you end up at 13th? Well, 8th in infrastructure and 6th in technology and innovation. And, stuff like that, it just doesn't land for someone like me. Does it land for you?
Not at all. Who gave him those? Why would you take the figures from CNBC?
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure that's one that's really relevant to our discussion. But it didn't to me. How about you?
Not at all. These are reporters that are putting these opinions out about this state is this position, another state by being another position. I'd really like to see the detail they've used to come up with those assumptions. We've taken the position that the gross domestic product in this country has grown in excess of 40% since 2019 when Pritzker came into office. I'm going to go to COGFA, who takes their information from bona fide financial experts like Moody's, for example, whose summation report was in the last COGFA report, suggesting that this state's GDP is only growing at about 5% in the same period of time from 2019 till today.
Ours is 4.
Exactly right.
It's alarming, and I mean, I think it speaks to, again, this idea that we have to, what the governor's trying to do, what the Democratic Party's trying to do is spin the messaging in some way. You're going to stand up there with a smile and talk about the $881 billion in GDP growth over his time. Okay, well, if you look at percentage-wise, then that's why you don't say the percentage, you just say the number, because the number sounds good.
Exactly right.
Good point. There's no numbers used. You're exactly right. Good point.
Or attributes to where he's getting his information.
Yeah, I think another thing, too, you mentioned Moody's there. He mentions in the speech the credit rating, this growth. Again, okay, there's growth. You're still, according to Moody's, the lowest ranked state credit-wise. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right. And if nothing else, it shows just how deep in the hole we were or have become with 26 or 27 now years of absolute Democratic control of government here in Springfield and in the state of Illinois. that number is scary. And our credit value is still just a fraction above junk bond status. I'm not sure if we're last in the country. I think we compete with New Orleans, Louisiana,
Yeah.
as far as the worst in the nation. But we're definitely in the bottom 5, and that's not a good place to be.
Well, and
No.
again, that's why some businesses look at us and say, I don't know if I want to start there.
That's right.
I don't know if I want to come here and start my business in Illinois because of that.
Which was also interesting because that's the sense. Every report, everything that comes out says, people are leaving, businesses are leaving. We know they are. Caterpillar, Boeing, the list goes on. And then the governor says, no, we're the second highest for incoming business growth, but didn't give where you get those numbers from.
Or what types of businesses we're referring to.
Yeah, a lot of kind of sleight of hand. It felt like some of the things that I've been seeing online in the 24 hours since the speech. That it's like, oh, look at the traditional media giving the governor a lot of credit for nuclear energy. Yeah. Your thoughts on his nuclear energy plan going forward?
Well, I'd say he's probably about 6 or 7 years too late. The CEJA bill, the Clean Energy Jobs Act bill that was passed, I think, back in 2019, basically put a nail in the coffin for the significant and actually very beneficial power generation that the state has always had. They basically put a poison pin in the bill that's going to put coal-generated power out of business prematurely. They've got to be out of business by 2045, but in 2035, they have to start reducing their emissions to the point where hardly any of them are going to be able to continue to operate at any sense of profit because they're going to have to gear down their production so low, it won't even be worth staying open.
Anything to be opposite of that, to generate energy. When we're losing all those by 2035, or they're going to start shutting down. Why wouldn't they want to shut
CEJA
down?
was going to cut people's expenses when
Yeah.
it comes to energy. What's happened? They've all gone up dramatically.
Yeah.
Veto session last November. $8.5 billion tax burden on ratepayers so they can start coming up with ideas to generate battery storage.
Right.
We should have been building new nuclear power plants 10 years ago, right about the time CEJA got approved, or 8 years ago when CEJA got approved. He's a little late, and this whole affordability thing that they're trying to sell is an absolute shell game.
Yeah, and we see the result.
Of what solar and wind is doing to our grid. It's not hardly anything at all. And when you look out around your house, at least when I do, probably around your house too, it's nothing but a bunch of flashing lights. And CEJA took away all the rights of local governments to be able to control those things. We wanted to hear some changes to CEJA in that speech, but we didn't hear any of those.
The only thing he came up with, he mentioned yesterday an executive order that starts the process of finding new nuclear energy construction. But it's 10 years out, 12 years out to build a nuclear power station.
And I think that's one of the things that people don't understand is like, okay, if you would have just committed to nuclear energy at the start of your term, we'd have power plants opening and you wouldn't have to put the pause on the data centers.
Right, that's true.
The data centers are something I know in Lincoln, it's a huge community concern because we don't actually have the infrastructure ready for this influx of data centers. And now we're pausing on more companies, more jobs, more data centers.
There's lots of concern there. Those people that live in Latham, which is right next to where that's going to be built, they're wondering, are we still going to have the same power that we had before? Even though you tell me it's on a different line, is it still going to be, am I still going to be able to run my refrigerator and is the elevator going to be able to operate during the fall when we're bringing crops in? All those are questions that need to be answered. In regard to the water issues, I think that's something right now we're kind of having a tough time with water.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of the reporters the other day that said that he lives over by Cantrell and they have to haul water right now. So that's something that we have to worry about. The aquifer, it's going to bring in tons of new jobs, which is wonderful. But we need to sit back and examine these things instead of just going headstrong into, yes, let's just bring these and build them right now.
Sure. I think the ultimate irony in that whole issue where all of these things start coming together, economic development, data center development, the governor's prized quantum physics plant up in the old South Chicago Steel Works site, they need a data plant to get any of those businesses up and running, and nobody wants to put a data center in there because of high regulations by the state of Illinois, the inability to generate enough power to be able to put them in business. There's probably been a dozen bills filed in the last 2 weeks to force data centers to generate their own electricity if they want to come into Illinois. I mean, you know, they're shooting themselves in the foot while they're throwing money out the door to try to bring these people in and not giving them any of the tools they need to really develop the economic boon that the governor has said this was going to bring to the state of Illinois. It's one of these.
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of look here, and things are happening, in the other way. One of the other big points that has been really popular on social media talk about is the cell phone in-school ban that he proposed. I want to know, one part kind of where that lands for you both, but then also the idea of a social media tax, right? But don't worry, that's going to pay for schools because you can't find money for schools in a $56 billion budget. You got to tax social media companies, right?
But overburdened, overtaxed.
Yeah.
That's what we are. But I thought the cell phone thing was kind of weird to have in your budget speech. Did you?
Well, he pushed it last year as being this novel initiative. Most school districts have already implemented those types of programs. My district in St. Charles, where I live, has had it for several years.
I think Springfield's done, Decatur's done it.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
I think personally, I think it's a good idea.
Absolutely.
But I thought it was weird that it was in the budget speech.
Senator Castro passed a bill last year that made schools start to do it. I supported it. I'm sure you probably did too. We all thought that was a great idea.
Yeah.
But it's not like he pulled this magic legislative bill out of a hat to create this new concept that cell phones are bad in classrooms. They are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, back to your point about the social media tax. Holy smokes. Really? How do you do that? Is anybody else doing it?
We will see, right?
Yeah. I think we're going to be the first state to do it.
Yeah. Come on, Illinois. Come to Illinois. We tax everything.
I want to see the details of what that's going to look like. Those people are making money hand over fist.
That's true, Don. You're right.
In a
That's
lot
true.
of different ways. Advertising may very well be one of them.
Yeah.
Maybe that's how the drums that all of the Democrats and progressives continue to beat over in the Capitol. Maybe that's the initiative to try to pacify some of those people and find new revenue streams. Now, ultimately, we all end up paying for it because our fees and rates are all going to go up.
Yeah, that's just it. How are they going to do it?
The devil, the proverbial devil is in the details, and let's see what it looks like when it becomes a piece of legislation.
It's the same with the sports gambling new tax. I mean, every one of them just charge it right to the consumer on the phone. It showed up one day, and it's like, oh, well, now actually you don't get as much of your winnings because that's going straight back to the state of
And
Illinois.
now you have the city of Chicago trying to double tax sports betting in the city. I signed on as a co-sponsor to Senator Patrick Joyce's bill to restrict the city of Chicago from doing that. I'm not even going to get into the problems that the city of Chicago is dealing with right now, but it's, it can't be a constant piling on to find new tax revenues. We've got to find some sources that are
because we spend what we bring in.
Yeah, that's what we do best. We spend every dollar that our revenue generates.
And I think that's, again, something I'd like to go back to is just in general. This idea that in 2009, Illinois had more people and a budget that was $20 billion less than we do now, 17 years ago. Does Illinois need a $56 billion budget?
I don't think so. I always take the position that it took nearly 200 years for the state's budget to get to $40 billion. Since 1818 to 2026. 200 years, give or take a couple. The fact that the governor's budget has expanded $18 billion in a mere 8 years tells me everything I need to know that we are spending, to your point, every dollar we take in, we spend. There's a little money going into the rainy day fund. He's talking about some additional payments to the pension fund. That's all well and good, but how much more could we be putting away if we didn't have that $144 billion albatross? Or if we weren't, sending money to health insurance for undocumented immigrants. Now I see he's finally zeroed out HBIA, which is for adults between 42 and 64. That's gone. But it hasn't eliminated the emergency room charges that some of these people
you mentioned that
can still have paid for by taxpayers in the state of Illinois. And of course, seniors are seniors. If they can't get Medicare, Medicaid, the state's the only availability they have left. So we're going to have to continue to watch that very closely.
And we took on all those federal dollars back from COVID.
Right.
The idea was to get through COVID. And instead of creating new programs, new ideas, we have tons of new programs coming all the time.
Yeah.
They didn't cut back. They didn't hold the line. And I think that needed to happen after we started losing the federal dollars.
It was all spent.
Yeah.
He did mention, you mentioned the rainy day fund. He did mention it's now up to, went from, I think he said from 4 million to 2.4 billion now. Are those numbers, to your knowledge, accurate?
To the best of my knowledge, I haven't seen the specific line item in the budget yet, how much he's contributing to that rainy day fund this year.
Yeah.
They didn't mention a number.
I thought they said none. Well, is it?
I was going
You're
to say.
right. Either they didn't mention a number or he's not putting any in.
Exactly right, yeah.
So we wait and see on if it's actually 2.4 billion in the rainy day fund.
The speech yesterday, if you want to call it that, was really the start of the budget process.
Right.
We won't know till 3 a.m. on May 31st what's in the budget. And our poor staff is going to end up being up, here at their offices all night long, May 30th, trying to figure out what's in the damn budget.
Yeah, it's interesting. Don comes from a background of being a mayor, and I come from the background of being a county clerk. The differences in the way that those budgets work on the local government level, and it's this crazy town here. It makes absolutely no sense why you can't work in a methodical manner and put your budget out 30 days ahead of time.
That's right. Let everybody have a good look.
So your public sees it.
Yeah.
We don't do that here.
No.
I'm not quite sure I've understood that yet.
And there's nothing this side of the aisle can do about that.
I'm
it
sure
seems.
even if we put a law out there, they wouldn't get it out of assignments to go into revenue committee.
I'm so tired of committees hearing about the budget before it's even printed out. It's 2.5 feet of paper.
Wow.
4,000 pages. I've sat in committee meetings where's the budget?
Yeah.
Well, you know how we do things around here, Senator.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's the number. It's this much revenue, this much expense. No idea what's in it. That's got to change.
Until it's passed.
Until it's passed.
With the supermajorities,
We have to pass it to see what's in it.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
pass it to see what's in it. That's a very good line.
And that should be no matter who's in power.
Yeah.
This is a people's budget. This
Yeah.
is the people's money. And we're just managers of it.
One other quick note on the budget. Again, yesterday the governor preached about the fact that he's now passed his 8th consecutive balanced budget. This only becomes a balanced budget if the legislature approves the $700 million in new taxes and the $136 or $39 million in fund sweeps that he's taking from sales tax revenue for candy, hair care products, and I think smoking. And then he's sweeping $60 million from local governments.
Right.
That they should be enjoying the incremental increases. Personal income taxes and corporate income taxes have been the two highest projected revenue streams in the state. Our municipalities should be getting a piece of that incremental increase. Instead, they give them a flat appropriation from last year. They reduce the actual percentage rate of how much they're taking. Municipalities are going to get hammered again this year with a reduction in their revenues.
1.6, or is that what it was? A
Well,
reduction? I can't
it
remember.
went down from 6.47%. It should be 10. It went from 6.47 to 6.28.
So the state, when you say the sweeping, it's you're saying the state is taking more and giving less back to municipalities, even though the agreement is, hey, we should be getting 10%.
Full 10%, exactly. Now, in fairness, every governor's done it. Bruce Rauner did it. Pat Quinn did it. J.B. Pritzker's done it.
Yeah.
The sin spreads across all.
Doesn't mean it's right.
Doesn't
No.
mean it's right. That's exactly correct.
No, that's a really good point. And that's one of the reasons why I love doing this, and I know people watching hopefully appreciate this as well. This kind of peeling back the curtain. You know what I mean? I would have never known something like that and how that works without hearing it straight from you guys, and that's why it's so important to have these discussions. So as we start to wrap up, I do want to give you an opportunity to say, especially to your constituents in your districts, over this next, month and a half here as you wait for that big 2.5 foot stack of paper to land on the desk. What is really important for each one of you that you're going to be pushing or fighting for over these next couple weeks?
Well, the basic kitchen table issues. Those are the things that people are really bothered with every day. Can I pay my electric bill? It might have been $200 in December. And then after the cold snap, it went to $900. People can't live like that.
Yeah.
They just can't. And I think that's what most people are looking at is how can you help me? Help me pay my grocery bill, help me pay my electric bill, help me send my kids to school, help me feed and clothe them and my family, those issues. Those are the things that we're going to really be paying close attention to.
I'm going to concentrate on two issues. One will be to try to make sure we stay engaged in the discussion. We are always given a seat at the table with regards to budget. We rarely get what it is that we're asking for, but having a seat at the table is always part of the process, whether you end up with what you need or whether you don't. And the other point I want to make, and I'm going to call the Democrats out on this issue, they seem to be wanting to make affordability their agenda for the year.
That's true.
They don't know the meaning of the word. Everything they do costs people more money. Why are you raising taxes if you're trying to make things more affordable for the residents of this state, Governor and legislative leaders? It's the hypocrisy reeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to call them out on every single opportunity
Yeah.
we get.
How does more taxes make it more affordable
Exactly.
for everyone?
It feels like a never-ending loop. Alice going down the rabbit hole. It could keep going. I mean, obviously, once we get the actual budget, we're going to need more discussions like this. We're going to have to tear it apart and try to figure out what exactly has happened here in the state. Senator Turner, Senator DeWitte, thank you so much for spending
Our
time.
pleasure.
Appreciate
Thanks.
it. You bet.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.